Welcome everyone to this session, our second session together this week of the daily meditations. Really wanting to welcome everyone who's here, who's joining us, whether it's your morning or afternoon or evening, anywhere else on in the time zones. All very welcome to this wonderful gathering of beings across the globe coming together to practice and to explore the Dharma. And I'm very happy to be here with you today. So the session will include, as usual, some time for a Dharma reflection and practice together, and then some time for questions and responses towards the end. So I wanted to continue our exploration. And it doesn't matter, of course, if you weren't here yesterday, I didn't have time to watch the recording. You can just weave yourself into this thread of practice. This is one of the beautiful things about community, about Sangha, that we can weave ourselves in to this thread of practice over, whether it's over the week or whether it's over generations of beings practicing together. And so today, I'd like to continue our exploration and to bring in wisdom and compassion in particular, or begin to bring them in. We'll be exploring them through the week. And so yesterday we were looking at the way our experience is shaped through the fact that when there's an experience, there's an object in attention, and there's a way of relating to that object. And I'd like to begin the reflection this morning with just kind of questioning or asking, what happens when we engage with our experience from a perspective of wisdom, which translates, what does it mean, a perspective of wisdom? Seeing it as conditioned. What happens when we engage with our experience, remembering that it's conditioned? That's the wisdom perspective that we're interested in. And then bringing interest and bringing compassion to that exploration of our experience, and particularly to the exploration of what conditions dukkha, what conditions ill-being, and what conditions its opposite, what conditions ill-being. So in the teachings, the Buddha spoke about the Four Noble Truths, or ennobling truths. And I find the second Noble Truth particularly interesting because the Buddha's asking there, he's encouraging us to look and see, first Noble Truth, there is dukkha in the human condition. And the second is, with what does dukkha arise? So we could say it a different way. It's pointing, first of all, to this understanding that dukkha, the ill-being, is conditioned. And then it's asking what conditions it. With what does it arise? When there is dukkha, what else is there? This is such a powerful question. It's a wisdom lens that we bring to our experience. So when there's dukkha, when there's ill-being, when there's any degree of unease, discomfort, all the way to the extreme ends of stress and suffering, what else is there? What arises with dukkha? And we can see when we explore our experience, and this is something I encourage you to explore this week, that it arises when dukkha is there. Demand is there. The demand for things to be a certain way for me. Contraction is there. Push and pull are there. This kind of trying to pull what we want, what we think is going to give us lasting happiness towards us, and the pushing away of what we think we need to get rid of in order to be happy, to be free from dukkha. So all of these arise together. All of these arise together. And so what's interesting for us to think about is, if these arise together, do they also lessen together? So if they feed each other, when there's more demand, more contraction, there is also more dukkha. What happens if there's less demand, less contraction, less push and pull? Is there less dukkha? And can this be a gateway to freedom? Lessening the demand, lessening the push and pull through the relaxing of contraction. So this is interesting for us. And this is what we do in our practice. This is what we do in our practice. We lessen the degree of contraction. We lessen the degree of demand through changing the way we relate to experience. We lessen contraction through opening awareness. We lessen contraction through interest and an intention of kindness. So I just kind of want to give an example of this. I hope this makes sense so far. I've kind of gone quite fast through this, but I'll give an example of different ways we can do this. So it may be that maybe we're not feeling well today. Like, I have a cold this week and it seems to be getting worse. So there's that sense of like, blocked nose and this kind of unpleasant feeling in the head and the body kind of being tired. And that's unpleasant, right? You can say that's unpleasant. But when I bring my attention to that, bring my attention to that, I can see as an object in attention, which is the unpleasant sensations of the body. Then there's the way of relating to that. And if the way of relating is, say, compassion, just an, yes, that's unpleasant, just an allowing of that, without trying to get rid of it and without pushing it away, and without kind of thinking, if only it wasn't there, or if I could get rid of it, then things would be better. So it's just that compassion, that contraction releases instead of the tension of the push and pull on the experience. There's an ease that comes. There's an ease that comes in. Another example, this is from a few weeks ago. Some of you may know it was Ramadan recently. And I was visiting one of my good friends who was fasting, of course. It was Ramadan, he's Muslim. And we were talking about the fasting, and his youngest son, who's 11 or 12, was also fasting. And we were talking about that, what makes that experience a positive experience. My friend was saying to me, when he's not forcing his children to fast, just to say it's totally their choice. But he said, when it gets hard towards the end of the day, when it gets difficult and, the body's weak and there's a real craving for food, for water, we sit together and we reflect on those that, don't have food to eat. And we reflect on our good fortune, and we feel compassion for those who are not fasting out of choice, but actually do not have enough. And this is part of the practice of Ramadan for us, is to cultivate compassion and cultivate empathy. And he said we do it together. So he does it with his children when they're having a hard time. And then that compassionate lens eases their discomfort. And it's really interesting. And I think we all know this in our own experience, that this happens. And what's interesting for us to see is the connection. Yeah? The connection between the way of relating to the object, yeah? The degree of contraction, yeah? Degree of contraction in the being, the degree of demand, the degree of push and pull, and the degree of ease or of dukkha that is there in that moment. So we want to see that relationship so that we can play more with that. And we are less dependent on external conditions and more able to attend to our experience internally. So that's what I wanted to share this morning as a reflection, and let's practice with this. Yeah. So the way we do this in practice is we practice with relaxing the contraction in the body that supports the relaxing the contraction in the mind, and that eases dukkha. So obviously I'll be guiding you through it, but let's find our meditation posture. Whatever is a good posture for you. And taking time to make any adjustments that are needed to the posture so that body is as supported, stable, grounded, at ease. As we bring the awareness into the body, inviting it more deeply and fully into the body. And seeing if we can invite the awareness to the contact areas of the body with that which supports the body, body and seat, body and ground. And inviting the awareness to gather and collect and ground in the sensations of contact, body with that which supports the body. Grounding, settling the awareness with the contact sensations. And gently opening from the sensations of contact and the rootedness in that contact, opening the awareness through the body. Expanding, letting the awareness expand and fill the body space. Having a sense of the whole body here. Awareness wide and open. Soft and softening through the whole space of the body. Remembering as we practice this intention, practice as an act of kindness towards ourselves and in the world. Keeping the awareness soft, open through the whole body. It's going to bring the attention to the top of the head. And we're gently going to flow down with the awareness through the body, inviting any contraction and any tension to ease and to relax. There's an emphasis on the invitation to relax. We're not demanding or ordering. Inviting a relaxation. It can be helpful for you to do this at your own pace. I'll just drop in reminders, and if you're going slower or faster, that's absolutely fine. Spending some time in the head, face, back of the head area. Letting the awareness flow down like a warmth. Softening, easing, opening. Tension and contraction. There's an area that's contracted more intensely. Feel free to spend time there. Softening, inviting ease and relaxation to whatever degree is possible. So I'm going to be quiet to allow you to do this in your own pace, and just to invite that flow of a warm, caring, compassionate awareness flowing down and moving through the whole body. The neck, the shoulders, the arms, the back and front and middle, the torso, all the way down to your feet eventually, and taking your time. This kind of globally, generally inviting ease and relaxation. And then stay with any areas of tension or contraction that you find. Seeing if it's possible to hold them with compassion, to invite any degree of relaxation that's possible, of that contraction, of that tension. And if you reach, um, if you flow through the whole body before I guide again, then you just come back to the top of the head and begin again. But I'll be back shortly, so I don't think that Noticing what you notice in this moment, where the mind is, where the heart is, how the body is. If the mind has wandered, come back to the last area of the body you remember, bringing your attention to. If that's not an accessible memory, come back to the top of the head. Continuing to let the awareness flow down through the body, easing and relaxing, contractions softening, letting the awareness be wide and open and soft through the body space, holding any area of contraction in compassion and care, soothing it with awareness, inviting it to relax as much as is possible. It's helpful, sometimes we can also include the breathing in this process, feeling as if the breath is flowing down through the body, filling up the space of the body, softening and opening the body space. And also breathing around and into any areas of contraction and tension. Exploring for yourself what supports any degree of easing, of contraction. And when the contraction eases, what's the impact on the flavor of experience, on the degree of well-being in your experience? Right now, in this moment, whether you notice distraction or presence, inviting any contraction and tension to relax and ease. Keep relaxing, opening, softening the whole space of the body. If you notice at this point in the practice that there's a particular area that it's helpful to stay with and work with, staying there, softening and opening any contraction, any tension, gently, with kindness and care, soothing, softening, opening, noticing the impact, the degree of well-being in the experience as you practice in this way. For the last minute of practice together, absorbing in any well-being that's arising from the practice, allowing it also to radiate out into the world. Feeling that wish for our own well-being and for the well-being of all, and letting that radiate out. May all beings be happy and well. May all beings be peaceful and at ease. And when the bell rings, no rush to move or to open the eyes. Just taking your time. But before we open to questions, just a few words about Dana practice. As many of you, maybe all of you know, these sessions are offered in the spirit of Dana, which means they're freely given. And the invitation is for each of us to explore our own participation in that, freely offered, mutually offered, we can say, offering this to each other, offering this to others, benefiting from the offering of those who have supported Sangha Live over the years. So I've put the link to the Dana page in the chat there, or I will in a minute. And whatever you offer this week is shared between Sangha Live for the costs of running these daily meditation sessions, and shared between Sangha Live and myself for the teachings. And as many of you know, I teach full time and offer everything that I share in the spirit of Dharma. So it's an open, warm-hearted invitation to participate in supporting the Dharma. So let's see if there's any questions. The way to ask a question or to share a reflection also about your experience today is to put it into the chat. But if you can put question in capitals before writing your question or reflection, that's helpful for me to then identify that that's what they are, rather than just general comments in the chat. Yeah, there's something from Heidi in reference to yesterday. Thank you for the insights yesterday about how to work with my triggers and trauma. Today I did a combination of mindful movement and body scan while lying down. Yeah, that's really great. It's wonderful to see the application there. Just how, we can just find our way, combines the mindful movement and also lying down meditation, which actually really helps this relaxing. The body relaxes, then the heart and mind relax, and the body scan can be also really, really helpful with that. Thanks for sharing that, Heidi. That's really beautiful to see. Yeah, let's give it a few more moments to see if anything else comes. From headache to no headache, simple, powerful, comforting. Thanks for that, Giles. Yes, very interesting, isn't it? Really interesting. This is something that we sometimes experience. We change the way of relating very subtly to our experience, and the experience can change quite dramatically. So from a sense of a headache or some discomfort in the body, just inviting relaxation, contraction, what's going on there. We invite that, and we're actually countering a habitual tendency, which is to contract more and to push away, resistance, forms of resistance. We're countering that by inviting a relaxation, and that can actually change the actual experience from headache to no headache. Sometimes that painful sensation disappears. Sometimes it might not disappear, but it just grows less problematic. It's not a problem anymore. I think I mentioned, I can't remember now if I mentioned yesterday, being at the dental hygienist last week, and it's coming up in all the talks now because it was so powerful. Not last week, the week before. Anyway, I don't remember. A couple of weeks ago. And I mentioned shifting my awareness to my feet. Nathan was also there. And when we compared notes afterwards, he said when he was having his teeth cleaned, he was opening to the sense of care from the hygienist to him. And that also shifted the experience from being painful to not painful. Yeah, because he was bringing his attention to the care and compassion of this person doing this for him. Yeah, and he was actually imagining how animals do that for each other sometimes, like particularly monkeys and primates. And that completely shifted the experience. So lots of ways that we can do this, and we're really interested to play with it because even hearing somebody else's experience, it's like, wow, from headache to no headache. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. But also it's like, what's going on there? This is the wisdom lens that we're interested to follow. Yeah, just like, what's going on there? Why is it why does it affect experience in that way? And what does it mean about our possibilities, about what we can do with our experience more and more? Yeah. And great, there's a comment there with Maureen, I think, regarding the different comments about too much talking, too little talking. Wonderful opportunity with that. To work with contraction. And again, in this case, we can just open and say, there were 100 people in the session. We're not all the same in this moment. And so we need different things. And so we can work with our contraction and we can bring a creative response. So working with contraction is one thing we do internally, relaxing it. And also we can bring, as Maureen is sharing here, we can bring agency, creativity, a skillful response to say, I need quiet today, but I want to be here with others. I'll set a timer. I know the meditation is going to be half an hour. Yeah. And I turn off the volume, and then I have what I need, and I'm not kind of demanding anything from others. So we have all these possibilities. Yeah. And sometimes, just knowing that, it's just like, we're not all in the same set of conditions right now. And can I just relax into that when someone else needs something else right now? Yeah? Then I do. And I just relax into that. It can be so helpful in our relationships. And so helpful with ourselves, when we might not be feeling, not feeling 100% or, yeah. Yeah, so I'm not seeing any questions. I'm seeing a lot of comments, which are really great. So I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on them and respond to them. Yeah. Yeah, release of emotion, Elena's writing, with that sense of easing contraction. Yeah. And there can be a release of emotion. So this is like we can say as we get more familiar with this way of practicing, we can also bring it to our emotional life. So we might be feeling agitation or sadness or anger. Yeah? And we use the skills that we develop in meditation to then say, here's, say, the anger or the frustration, whatever it is. Where is it in the body? And as we develop the skill, we'll find a place in the body and guaranteed that place will be contracted. Yeah. And so here we want to bring a very wise kind of listening, yeah, to what's going on. Because sometimes the skillful thing will be just to relax the contraction in the body, yeah, to ease that frustration or that anger. Sometimes, just like with the example of too much talking in the meditation, there may be something here that I need to listen to. So I may be frustrated or angry about something that's important to me. The frustration is building up, kind of blocking my connection to that. And then I'm just agitated. But I can listen, stay with that sense of this is important. This this is calling for my attention, and then relax the body at the same time. And so we're getting still an important message and we can act on it, but from a sense of ease and less contraction, which, I find it really helpful to see when the body's contracted, we have much less movement available to us. Yeah. And it impacts the mind and the heart in the same way. So, this is something we can really bring of saying, okay, I can still care about things. I can still act about things, around things. I can still do what needs to be done. Listen to the messages that the body, the heart, the mind are giving me. Yeah. Same with the body. There might be an area of pain that needs attention, needs action. But I can also relax the unnecessary tension and contraction, yeah, to both increase my well-being and allow me to then have more possibilities of skillful action. So that could be really helpful. So yeah, wonderful wonderful kind of comments there, and I think really rich to reflect in this way. Want to say an extra hello to my friends in Dorset. I'm still in Israel, but I'll be coming back in a few weeks. So lovely to see the Bridport and surrounding area, Sangha here. And if there are no more questions, there's one. Thank you. What are your reflections on the relation between surrender, being with, and control on a very subtle level? Yeah, that's a really interesting one, Elena. So I wonder what you mean about control on a very subtle level. Are you talking about kind of what we call deal making? So I'll surrender, I'll relax so that the pain goes away, for example. So there's that level of control that's there, actually wanting something to happen rather than just, what I was guiding towards today was a relaxing of the contraction, which we could say is surrender, but it's not exactly the same. Yeah, and so I would appreciate, Elena, if you don't mind, just saying a little bit more. Yes, you mean you're talking about this deal making, yeah. So I would say just be interested in that because it's difficult to get it perfect, right? So just know sometimes it's there, and usually as we become more sensitive and more attuned to this practice, we'll be more aware of more subtle levels of contraction. And so that kind of control on a very subtle level will come with a degree of contraction in itself. Yeah. So it's like we become aware of it, and then we can relax that as well. Yeah. So one way of doing it is just how we were doing it today, just relaxing, inviting relaxation to the whole body. And then we can work with specific areas of contraction. And we can take this, as I was saying with Elaine's comment, to more and more areas of our experience, to emotions, to the, what you're talking about is when the demand grows, right? There's a control is coming with the demand. I want things to be a certain way. It can be very subtle. We keep going with the practice and we keep alert, we keep interested. That's why we want to. It's not just a tool to get rid of what's unpleasant for us. It's a method. It's a tool for deepening understanding. It's a wisdom lens, deepening understanding, developing insight in ways that will free us. So don't worry about getting it 100% right. Just keep going, keep exploring, keep deepening that insight, and especially the sensitivity to when there's contraction in the body. And I can say for myself, this has become such a helpful skill to have, and it's like a sensitivity that we develop. So I notice, maybe in the meeting, and I notice in the body the contraction that arises with a strong view that I might have, or the strong voicing of that view. And that's like, relax that. See what happens. Can I still have a view? Can I still voice an opinion without that? And then sometimes the wise thing is not to, right? To completely let go. But often, we need to act in the world in these ways. But we're interested to explore that range. So I hope that responds to you, Elena. Please let me know if you want to, if I didn't quite meet you there and you want us to spend a little bit longer on that. I'll just pause and wait for that. For Elena's response. And otherwise, we are at the end of our time. So if you need to go, please do. And thank you for being here. I will see you hopefully tomorrow. And wishing you all a wonderful rest of the day, rest of the night, rest of the evening, whatever it is for you. And keep working with this release of contraction. It can be very, very helpful. Okay, thanks, Elena. Yeah, so you feel the contraction is a message from deep within. As soon as you're able to validate it and see it deeply, it eases off by itself. Beautiful. Yeah, so just beautiful. Just go with that and see what happens. Hey, John, nice to see you here. Okay, go well, everyone.